athlete, role model, hero, and mustache aficionado. These are all words that describe the legend of Aaron Rodgers. Now, after a lifetime for myself of both playing the sport and making a career out of analyzing it, I can say without a shadow of a doubt that Aaron Rodgers is the greatest quarterback to ever play the game. Now, commonly in this conversation are people like Joe Montana and Tom Brady, and with 4 and 5 rings apiece, that is a hard argument to go against. But I'm going to show you throughout the course of this presentation that Rodgers transcends rings and truly puts himself as the greatest. So first off, we're going to look at the statistics and what they have to say. Football is an interesting game where there's 11 men on the field, all working towards a common goal, and it won't work unless those people are, like I said, working towards a common goal. So it is hard to quantify individual greatness based on wins and losses. So what we're going to do is look at the stats for Rodgers and give him a fair fight. So the first stat we're going to look at is the touchdown-interception ratio, and that's just as it sounds. It's a touchdown for every interception he throws. So Rodgers, according to NFL.com, leads basically every starting quarterback of all time at a 4.3 to 1 ratio, which compares very favorably to Tom Brady's 3.02 to 1 ratio. And what that basically means is that Tom Brady would have to throw 229 consecutive touchdowns without an interception in order for to match Rodgers' career touchdown-interception ratio, which is pretty astonishing. Now, passer rating is the other stat we're going to look at, and this one's a little more complex. So it was created in the early 70s as a way to compare quarterbacks amongst their peers. It's on a 0 to 158.3 scale, and it takes into account completions, passing yards, touchdowns, and interceptions. Now, Rodgers' career rating is the best in history for any career starting quarterback at 102.4, which compares very favorably to Brady's career 97.0 and Montana's career 92.3, according to Pro Football Reference. So Rodgers' greatest season ever is also the greatest passer rating season of all time at 122.5, which once again, according to Pro Football Reference, compares very favorably to Brady and Montana, who are at 117.2 and 118.4 respectively. Now, the other thing we're going to talk about is what Rodgers had to work with. So like I said before, football requires 11 men working towards a common goal to be successful. But it also takes 11 men on the defensive side for the team as a whole to succeed. And good defense is something that Rodgers has in particular lacked throughout the years. Throughout his career, according to Logan Fricks of the University of Kansas, Tom Brady has had a top 10 defense 12 times, and in those 12 times, he has won 5 Super Bowls. Rodgers, on the other hand, has had a top 10 defense only twice, and of course, one of those years he did go on to win the Super Bowl. But the other thing we're going to talk about for lack of help is the lack of incredible receiving talent that the other two have benefited from that Rodgers did not. So Montana and Brady have both benefited from having NFL 100, top 100 all-time receivers at their disposal, if you include Randy Moss and Rob Gronkowski for Tom Brady and Jerry Rice for Joe Montana. But the interesting thing about it is that these receivers, Randy Moss and Jerry Rice specifically, have had great success under other quarterbacks, not including Brady or Montana. For Moss, it was with the Vikings and Dante Culpepper, and for Jerry Rice, it was still with the Niners with Steve Young. Now, throughout Rodgers' career, he's had pretty solid receivers, but nothing quite like that. His three of his most prolific receivers he's ever had are Greg Jennings, James Jones, and Jordy Nelson, all 3 of which excelled under Rodgers, all 3 of which ended up leaving the Packers, and all 3 of which were not as good without Rodgers throwing to them and were out of the league in 3 or less seasons. Now, finally, stats aside, all you have to do is look at Rodgers and the way he plays, and you can see that he's just different from these other people. If we look at these stills here, these other 2 quarterbacks, this is Joe Montana and Tom Brady, they need a clean pocket, as you can see, and a clean platform to throw to, both feet on the ground, square shoulders and throwing. They're incredibly accurate when they do this, but they lack the ability to deliver when that's not the case. Rodgers, on the other hand, can deliver just as accurately from any platform. In this particular instance, he has one foot on the ground while being hit and still delivering a strike. He can also do it no feet, anything. But further than that, with this pure throwing ability, he has the ability to move outside the pocket under pressure, keep his eyes downfield, and deliver a strike. So as you can see here, this is 2014 versus the Bears. Rodgers avoids a sack, gets hit as he throws, and delivers a strike touchdown to Devontae Adams. Up in the left there, you have the 2016 game versus the Cardinals, where Rodgers rolls out, delivers a 50-yard bomb while getting hit to Jeff Janis in the end zone. And here in the playoffs, Rodgers breaks out of a sack and delivers a strike on 4th down to Randall Cobb very near the end zone. And this is just something that all the other quarterbacks just lack the ability to do. So I've laid out all the stats, level of difficulty, throwing ability, and compared them how he stacks up against all these other quarterbacks. And quite frankly, the other quarterbacks just simply do not stack up against him. I hope I've convinced you that if not only Rodgers belongs in the conversation of the GOAT, but that he outright deserves to be